All right, here we go. Here is your tailgate party report for this Monday, January 25th. Joe Duffy's picks. We are rolling along 11-3 in all sports, 7 NBA for today. 3 of them are highest rated. Wise guy plays at offshoreinsiders.com. And yes, Stevie Vincent, literally the greatest NBA run ever. And Master Lockline, the greatest college basketball start in history. I'm not exaggerating, and there are very legitimate reasons for that. In fact, if you go to offshoreinsiders.com at the home page under Joe Duffy's picks, I linked to an article I wrote more than a month ago, or about a month ago. I think it was a little bit more than a month ago, and telling you why the new normal, kind of returning to the old normal, meant it was going to be one of the greatest times in the history of betting. Promises made, promises exceeded. All right, why don't we get to some intel for today? Why don't we start it out with the public betting? Who is the public betting on today? In the NBA, not surprising, it is the road favorites that they love. Boston 70% against Chicago. Philadelphia 70% of the bets against Detroit. We remind you this is based on the percentage of bets, where a $10 bet counts the same as a $1,000 bet. But again, for people who love contrarian bets, it's really the bag of donuts guy, the small bettor, that they do want to fade. So this is not based on, well, why don't I tell you on money, though? In terms of money, Charlotte, 89% of the money is on them. Indiana, 83% of the money is on them. And Oklahoma Thunder, 82% of the money, which is interesting because this is one of those where a lot of sharps would say this makes Oklahoma City a big bet. 82% of the money is on Oklahoma City, but 64% of the bets are on Portland. So again, a lot of people who use this information say when the money is going opposite of the number of tickets, go with the money, and that is a sharp bet. College basketball, biggest public bets, yep, a road favorite, Utah State at 68.5%, and then Radford, an added game, but a road underdog at 67%. In terms of money, Southern against Alabama State, 91% of the money's on them, 88% of the money on Presbyterian. They're both added games. As far as the regular rotation games, 85% of the money on Virginia, 84% on Loyola of Marymount. Now, some injuries to tell you about for today in the NBA. And if you like this information, please literally like us, give us a like, and it's your way of telling the search engines you want more information like this. Pascal Siakam is questionable for today. His teammate Kyle Lowry also for Toronto, questionable as well. Jimmy Butler is expected to clear the protocol today for the Miami Heat. And, yeah, Dallas basically has a bunch of guys who are likely not going to be playing tonight, so keep that in mind as well. All right, let's get to the biggest line moves of the day in the NBA. Boston opened up as a 7.5-point favorite against Chicago, but they're down to a 4-point favorite. Dallas opened up as a 1-point favorite. They're now getting 1.5, and as we said, they've got some guys that are probably not going to play tonight because of COVID protocol. College basketball, only one significant line move to talk about, and that is Arizona opened up as a 7-point favorite against Arizona State. They're now down to 4.5, as you know, a lot of people think Arizona State is the most underachieving team in the country, and they should come out of it in this. Maybe something else interesting to note. I woke up in the morning, was getting some messages about a lot of sharp bets were going to be on Texas Southern, and that game wound up getting postponed, by the way. It did wound up getting postponed, and there was some line moves in that direction where they open up as 23, and they're already up to 25.5 before the game obviously was taken off of the board because it was postponed. And by the way, none of that had to do with inside information based on knowledge of guys that were not going to be playing or anything like that. It's just a lot of the sharps were liking that, but that game has been erased. All right, what is the free pick from Joe Duffy's pick for today? Boston -4 against Chicago. Road favorites are small underdogs on a massive high-scoring streak are 361, 232, and 12. And road favorites off of a win that broke a losing streak are 440, 316, and 15. And I like that because it makes perfect sense. Boston, just because they won a game, it's not like they're going to lose a chip off of their shoulder. So they still have a chip on their shoulder, and they got a little bit of momentum back. So I like that combination. It's one of those where I like it a little bit more than the pure numbers would suggest. These have been the best teams in the NBA to bet on based on ATS margin this year. Again, ATS margin, pretty self-explanatory, much like points per game margin, except it's based relative to the point spread. Again, if you're a 7-point favorite and you win by 10, you were +3 ATS margin. The losing team was -3. Pretty simple. Chicago's 11-5 this year, covering by an average of 4.1 points per game. The record's, of course, ATS. New York, though, 9-9, covering by a second best in the NBA, 3.7 points per game. Lakers are 10-7, covering by 2.8. Who have been the best teams to bet against this year? Sacramento, 6-10, -6.2 points per game. Orlando, 8-9, -4 points per game. And two teams check in at -3.9. It's Miami, who is 6-8-1, and Portland, who is 6-9. And again, I remind you, please visit offshoreinsiders.com. Joe Duffy's picks. We told you what a year it's been, especially in 2021. And we explain on the site why we kind of came out of the gates a little bit slow after the shutdown and how everything has turned around and why, more importantly, why there is going to be so much winning ahead of us. But visit offshoreinsiders.com. Bunch of people jumping on the bet at Trinity for great reasons. It's the greatest cumulative run in gambling history, and this is fact.